Oops. Okay. It is 4:01, so, and we have a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regular Planning, Programming, and Zoning Commission meeting for February 9th. I'm Virginia Wilbur, and we are still meeting by Zoom due to COVID. I would just ask that everyone that if you are not talking presently, if you can mute yourself. I'll try to give a little bit of transition time and allow people to unmute themselves for questioning and when they talk, but we're getting a lot of feedback today. So if you can just try to mute yourself when you're not talking, be awesome. So first item on the agenda is approval of today's agenda. Any revisions or discussion?
Motion by Schoberg to approve.
Second, Trost.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next, we'll have approval of the meeting minutes from January 12th.
Tolman move to approve.
Second by Schoberg.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Minutes are approved. Motion carried. All right, next we'll have the financial report for December 2020, please.
This is Schrader with staff. I just had a chance to grab this now, so I haven't really had a chance to look over it. I think Noel is going to try and join on later, but isn't on right now. But I would say just quickly looking down through the financial report, I don't see anything that looks out of line. Any questions?
I never received the financial report, but I got 2 agendas.
Okay, we will make sure we mail that out.
Okay.
If there aren't any other questions, do we have a motion to place the report on file?
So move, Trost.
Is there a second?
Second, Holden.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next, we will have oral presentations. This is a time for anyone who is on the call who is not speaking on an agenda item. So if you're here to speak on a non-agenda item, please state your name at this time. Okay. Seeing none, we'll go on to new business then. Time is 4:04 p.m. and a hearing is scheduled at this time for a request by DGOG Waterloo LLC, I'm abbreviating, to rezone approximately 3.46 acres from A1 Agricultural District to CP Planned Commercial District for construction of a single retail store located northeast of 2600 East Shalish Road. At this time, we should receive and place on file a statement of verification signed by Patty McGee, stating, I, Patty McGee, do hereby certify that a copy of the attached letter, overview, aerial, and notice maps were mailed to each individual on the attached list by regular mail on January 26, 2021. Could I have a motion to receive and place this notice on file?
So move, Trost.
So moved.
Second, Lystico.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. First, we will have the staff report, please.
Yeah, this is Seth Adrig with staff for the staff report. The applicant is DGOG Waterloo LLC. The applicant's request can rezone the property in question to construct a 10,640 square foot Dollar General store. The request will not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding neighborhood, which mostly consists of agricultural land abutting and residential across Highway 218 and Summerlin Park. Farther south on Dysart Road, Lost Island Water Park and the Isle Casino and Hotel are located approximately a half mile to the west-northwest, and Lost Worlds Theme Park is under construction across the road to the southwest. With the location along East Shawless Road, it would appear a suitable location for a neighborhood commercial store. On the request to construct a new Dollar General building and associated parking is not anticipated to have a negative impact upon nearby properties or land uses. The proposed site is a corner lot between East Shawless Road to the south and Highway 218 to the northeast. Access to the site will be off of East Shawless Road, which is classified as a minor arterial. Highway 218 is classified as a principal arterial. The Shawless Road Trail is approximately 2,000 feet west of the proposed rezone area. Currently, there are no sidewalks in the area. However, the Shawless Road Trail will be extended eastward to the Dollar General store, and construction will begin within the next few months as part of a RISE grant that will reconstruct this portion of East Shawless Road. The proposed Dollar General will also have a 4-foot sidewalk that will extend from the building to the road across the street from the Shawless Road Trail. That will be constructed as part of the road reconstruction project. Should be conditioned to require that the applicant install approaches for a mid-block crossing, and potentially be required to install the crossing, including a rectangular rapid flashing beacons in the future, if determined to be warranted. A sidewalk should also be required to be installed along the frontage of the property so that it could potentially be connected to the city and trail system as adjacent parcels are developed in the area. The area of the proposed site is currently zoned A1 Agricultural District and has been as such since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1969. Surrounding area and uses to the north is Highway 218 commercial development with some vacant land zoned M1 Light Industrial District. To the south, agricultural land and under construction Lost Worlds Theme Park zoned A1 Agricultural District and CP Planned Commercial District. To the east, residential area zoned M1 Light Industrial District and R1 RP Planned 1 and 2 Family Residence District. To the west is agricultural land, Lost Island Water Park and the Isle Hotel and Casino zoned A1 Agricultural District and CP Planned Commercial District. The Lost Island Water Park was constructed in the early 2000s and opened in 2001. The Island Casino was constructed in the mid-2000s and opened in 2007. The Lost World Theme Park is currently under construction and is planned to open in 2022. The applicant will be constructing a shrub and tree buffer on all 3 sides of the property. Rezoning of the land would not appear to have a negative impact upon drainage in the area, as the project notes a detention area and outfall to the east of the Dollar General location. The property is in a special flood hazard area as indicated by the federal insurance rate map, community number 190025 and panel number 038F, dated July 18, 2011. The structure will be elevated to have a finished floor elevation of 850 feet or 1 foot above the base flood elevation in compliance with the zoning ordinance. There's a 15-inch sewer line located within a 30-foot sanitary sewer easement to the west and 16-inch water line along East Shawless Road. The future land use map designates this property as mixed commercial, medium to high density residential, professional offices, and neighborhood commercial. Proposed land use and neighborhood commercials in conformance with the future land use map for this area. The proposed Dollar General store is located in a primarily growth area as identified by the city's comprehensive plan. The applicant is requesting to rezone a 3.46 acre property northeast of 2600 Shawless Road to construct a new Dollar General. CP designation is intended for residential and commercial development on tracts.
Lost him.
Seth, you're on
Can you
mute.
hear us?
I was trying to mute the person.
Oh, okay. All right. Somebody muted me. Okay. All right. Okay. The parking lot contains 35 stalls, with 2 of those stalls being reserved for handicap parking. The size of the building is 10,640 square feet with 8,159 square feet of retail space. Per the zoning ordinance, one parking space is required for every 250 feet of retail floor space. This equates to 33 required parking stalls, and there's 35 being required, which one of them meets the requirement. Submitted building materials for the proposed Dollar General store consist of masonry sandstone walls that are brown and gray in color, and metal galvanum roof, the west and south sides of the building. We'll also have some glass windows. The proposed materials would be compatible with the surrounding area, which contains the Isle Casino and Hotel, Lost Island Water Park, and the Lost Worlds theme park currently under construction. The building also has 3 proposed signs. The 2 wall signs are 97.5 square feet and 20-foot high pylon sign, which is 50 square feet. All 3 signs meet the requirements of the Highway 218 Corridor District and the CP Planned Commercial District. In addition, the landscaping plan submitted by Dollar General does meet the parameters of the zoning ordinance. However, the Design Review Board met on February 1st, and they have placed the conditions that 4 items are incorporated into the landscape plan that will be submitted at a later date. In addition, they approve the overall site, but they also, in addition to changes to the landscape plan, they also recommended to have like a solid color roof. This is to help, prevent any potential glare that could come from the building to oncoming traffic. But the general site plan was approved by them, but there's some conditions that will be mentioned later on. Traffic operations, the planning department and engineering department had a meeting on January 7th, 2021 to discuss traffic simulation and for ingress and egress off of East Shawls Road, the proposed Dollar General. All 3 departments discussed traffic generation, and none of the departments noted any major concerns regarding traffic generation to and from the site. It was determined that a left turn lane will be required for eastbound Shawless Road. Traffic wanting to turn left into Dollar General, but the turn lane will be installed as part of the proposed reconstruction at East Shawless Road. There was also mentioned that the applicant will need to install a street light at the driveway with a specific pole and light approved by the city. In addition, a sidewalk will be required along the street frontage, and pedestrian approaches will need to be constructed on both sides of East Shawless Road. In the event that a pedestrian crossing is needed at a future date, and Dollar General should be required to install the crossing in the future, including painting, signage, and wired rectangle flashing beacons, as such a crossing is determined to be warranted in the future by the city. The applicant plans to subdivide the property once the rezone request is approved. Therefore, staff recommends that the request by DGOG Waterloo LLC to rezone 3.46 acre property northeast of 2600 East Shawless Road from the agricultural district to CP Planned Commercial District, construct a new Dollar General store, be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian and traffic conditions within the surrounding area. The masonry sandstone walls that are brown and gray in color and metal galvanum roof will be compatible with the existing buildings in the area. The site will bring a neighborhood commercial use to a tourism destination in north of residential area that sits along Waterloo's Highway 218 corridor, and subject to the following conditions. That sidewalk be installed along the frontage of the property. That sidewalk approaches and curb drops be installed to connect pedestrians from the site in question to the bike trail across East Shawless Road. That East Shawless Road pedestrian crossing will initially be an unmarked crossing. However, the applicant will be responsible to install the crossing and related elements, painting, signage, and wild rectangular rapid flashing beacons in the future if the city of Waterloo determines that they are based on for pedestrian use and pedestrian safety. That a street light be installed within the right of way of Shawless Road and the proposed driveway. That the landscape plan is updated in order to incorporate 4 recommendations from the Highway 218 Corridor Design Review Board. List tree shrub species that are diverse and suitable to climate. Update landscape plan to cluster trees, more natural appearance. Group shrubs together within the parking lot and near building and larger bed of mulch, and utilize parking lot islands to better cluster shrubs. And that the roof contains a solid color to reduce or eliminate potential glare to passerbys as traffic to and from the site. And that is the staff report.
All right, are there initial questions for Seth?
Virginia, this is Eric.
Yep, I hear ya.
Yes. My question is this the area located near Harmony House on Shawless Road? We've had pedestrians asking for access to the store in the area. What other developments and other proposals have been brought before the commission?
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, Harmony House
so.
is not within the near vicinity of this location. Eric, do you know approximately how far away, Eric Schroeder, how far away the Harmony House location is from this site?
It's probably about 4 miles.
Oh, it's 4 miles. Okay, yeah, so it's not an issue.
It's not an issue. Okay, it's another. Okay.
Yep.
This is over by the casino.
Actually, probably closer to 5.5, 6 miles.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, thank you, Eric.
Seth, this is Virginia. I had a clarification. I'm sorry if I missed it in the staff report. So the turn lane, the left turn lane that you referenced, that would only be part of the reconstruction of the Shawless Road. Is that correct?
That is correct. Basically that entire street is going to be redone. Recreational trails going in. The RISE grant that the city received will help cover this cost for the left turn lane, and they'll just incorporate it into the overall design.
This is Schrader.
Go ahead.
I'll just elaborate. This is Schrader with staff. The turn lane was not originally part of the plan for the design of the reconstruction of the road, but it fits into it. The area that's being reconstructed, the turn lane fits in. There was going to be a turn lane further to the west and a striped median in the vicinity of this. So all it is a change in paint that provides for the turn lane into this.
Eric, what's the timeline on that then? Is that like in the next year or a couple years?
Yes, the project is actually already let and is anticipated to begin construction this spring.
Okay.
This is Jamie Knutson, city engineer. Little clarification on that. The project hasn't been let yet. It's still stuck in permits with the IDNR. So as soon as it gets out of permits, yes, we will put it out for bid. We will be reconstructing Shawless this year in 2021 from Isle of Capri to 218. The other portion from Hess Road to the Isle of Capri will be in 22 before we get to that construction. So we are able to accommodate, as Eric said, we are able to accommodate the turn lane in our striping plan. There's enough room for what we were doing in our design to take care of that. So this is an easy enough change.
And this is Virginia again. The reason I asked is I grew up in that area, so I'm very familiar with it. And that's quite a nasty curve as you're going eastbound. And over the last few years, there's been quite a development of heavy truck traffic too. So going down along Geyser and then connecting there. So I have some concerns with has the city done then in traffic operations? Have they done like the line of sight view off of that curve? Because it seems like it could be very problematic even just in the short term, because if you're going to have turning traffic coming off of there, even in the construction phases for the Dollar General, given that curve and how much traffic you already have on that road.
This is Schrader with staff. I don't believe that the City of Waterloo traffic engineer, Mohammed Elahi, is on the call today, but I do know that he has reviewed this proposed access and actually did a traffic simulation model for traffic that would be generated by the proposed store. I assume site distances was looked as part of that, but I do not know for sure. I know the applicant's representative is on the line. So Rusty, can you address that? Do you know if site distance was looked at as part of that?
Right. I didn't look, he didn't share the details of his analysis with me. But I did see the summary of what he submitted or what he responded with. And I didn't see any concern. He didn't bring up any concerns about that. Certainly if there are, when we were looking at a different site down the road back, I think it was last year, there was some discussion then about this curve and taking out some brush and some trees and some things to improve that sight distance. And certainly if something like that needs to be done, we're certainly glad to do whatever we can to help.
This is Holdeman, but and as I remember, and I haven't driven out there this week, but as I recall, it's pretty wide open out there, isn't it? I mean, you can see for quite a ways.
Jamie Knutson, city engineer. Yeah, it is pretty wide open out there. Again, as part of the redesign, reconstruction of Shawless, we are changing the curves slightly. We are changing some things to help with the sight distance. We are also looking at, the other thing we will be installing is a set of stoplights at the new theme park entrance. So we will have stoplights at Isla Capri, the theme park entrance, and then the existing stoplights at 218 and Shawless Dysart there at that intersection. All of those will also be tied together to allow for sequential traffic movement. So we are trying to do things to slow some traffic down and provide, along with a bike trail, a dedicated bike trail, off-road bike trail, trying to do some things to make sure that we do have good pedestrian access out there. Obviously, this is going to be a big destination, and there's going to be a lot of pedestrian movement from the water park to the theme park and back and vice versa. So it is something that we've looked at and tried to address in our redesign of Shawless Road to make it as safe as we possibly can.
Seth, this is Troy. Who owns the inside corner of that property? I remember we had the amusement park come through for changeover zoning wise. That inside curve, probably inside of the curve, part of that property, part of the amusement park property.
Steve, can you hold on a minute? Can you all please make sure you're muted if you're not waiting to talk? We're getting major feedback. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, somebody still has theirs on. Can you hear me now?
That's a little better, Steve.
Okay. I don't think it's me. I think it's somebody else that has their sound on still, their microphone on. My question
I'm sorry.
was,
can you repeat? Yeah, can you repeat?
My question was to Seth. The property is located on the inside edge of the curve of the Shawless Road. Is that part of the property that's part of the amusement park property?
Schrader, when you say inside of the curve, which side do you mean?
The west side.
Southwest?
Correct.
Southwest side, beyond what we currently own for right-of-way, is a privately owned farm field.
Okay. So there is potential for future development by somebody else on that piece of property because it's not part of the amusement park property. Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Are there other questions for the applicant at this point? Okay. Is there anyone else on the call who would like to speak on this agenda item? Okay. Do the commissioners have other questions for the applicant or Seth?
No, just a quick comment. I noticed that a lot of the Dollar Generals typically do have, vertical metal panel siding on the sides and backs at a lot of locations you'll see. But in this particular location, they did follow the planned zoning requirements for trying to match the adjacent materials. And it appears they're using masonry around the whole perimeter of the building, which is, I want to compliment that and I appreciate that, because that was one of my concerns when I saw the applicant.
Yep, masonry on all sides of the building. So they did kind of incorporate that after what happened with the previous rezone request. So yeah, this will be a good structure, solid structure, blend in better with the area and look better over time than, vertical metal siding.
All right, do we have a motion to close the public hearing then?
I'll make a
I
motion.
had one quick question, Virginia.
Yes, go ahead, Eric.
So when Jamie Knutson was talking about the other construction that's going to take place in 2022, when he was talking about the other end of Hess Road, would that second construction in 2022, would that be the other end of Chalice that would bring in the Harmony House?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, I'll let Jamie speak, but I'm pretty sure that again is further down.
Okay. Thank you.
Eric, Hess Road is right where that four-way stop is right now, where it connects. Hess Road connects with the water park, and then off to the left is the golf course.
Correct. Yeah, and so west of Hess is not proposed to be reconstructed at this time.
Okay. Thank you.
I make a motion to close the hearing. Trost?
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The hearing is closed. Does a commissioner want to make a motion?
Yes, this is Lystico. A motion that we approve the request by DGOG Waterloo, Iowa, 11/4/2020 LLC to rezone a 3.46 acre property northeast of 2600 East Shellis Road from A1 Agricultural District to CP Planned Commercial District to construct a new Dollar General store and it be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian and traffic conditions within the surrounding area. The masonry sandstone walls that are brown and gray in color and a metal galvalume roof will be compatible with existing buildings in the area. The site will bring a neighborhood commercial use to a tourism destination and a north of a residential area that sits along Waterloo's Highway 218 corridor and subject to the following conditions. One, that sidewalk be installed along the frontage of the property, that sidewalk approaches and curb drops be installed to connect pedestrians from the site in question to the bike trail across Shellis Road, that the Shellis Road pedestrian crossing will initially be an unmarked crossing. However, the applicant would be responsible to install the crossing and related elements such as painting, signage, and wired rectangular rapid flashing beacons in the future if the city of Waterloo determines that they are warranted based on pedestrian use and safety. And finally, that a street light be installed within the right of way of Shellis Road at the proposed driveway. That's what I got. What else? I don't remember seeing that fourth suggestion on there.
There's two more on there, Cody.
Yeah, the revised staff report that was emailed out had the two additional.
I got so many. Okay, I got the other one here, so let me hold tight with me. It's taking forever to load. Okay, and okay. Also, that the landscape plan is updated in order to incorporate 4 recommendations from the Highway 218 Corridor Design Review Board. List tree, shrub species that are diverse and suitable to climate. Update landscape plan to cluster trees with a more natural appearance, group shrubs together within parking lot and near building in a larger bed of mulch, and utilize parking lot islands to better cluster shrubs. And finally, that the roof contains a solid color to reduce or eliminate glare.
Thank you, Cody. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, the time is 4:32 p.m. and a hearing is scheduled at this time for a request by the City of Waterloo to rezone approximately 17.5 acres from an A1 agricultural district to M1 light industrial district to CP planned commercial district and BP business park district located at 700 Falls Avenue. At this time, we should receive and place on file a statement of verification signed by Patty McGee, stating, I, Patty McGee, do hereby certify that a copy of the attached letter, overview map, overview aerial and notice maps were mailed to each individual on the attached list by regular mail on January 26, 2021. Do I have a motion to receive and place this notice on file?
So moved.
Second, Trost.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. First, we'll have the staff report, please.
Just starting off with staff. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on neighborhood as mostly former industrial site. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on vehicular pedestrian movements in the area. The area is served by University Avenue, which is classified as a collector, and Black Hawk Road and Falls Avenue, which are local street classified local roads. There is sidewalk along Black Hawk Road and Falls Avenue, but not along the north side of University. The new University Trail will be located on the south side of University Avenue and should be completed later this year, and will connect with the Sergeant Road Trail, which goes along the east side of the property. The area the proposed site is located is zones A1 Agricultural District on the west end and M1 Light Industrial District on the east end, has been zoned as such since the adoption of zoning ordinance number 2479 in 1969. Surrounding land uses and their zoning. To the north is Warren Transport, Blackhawk Creek, and vacant land zone M1 Light Industrial District. To the south is Blackhawk Creek, the Leonard Katowski Greenbelt, zone A1 Agricultural District, and University Avenue. To the east is US Highway 218 and US 63, zone M1 Light Industrial District and R4 Multiple Residence District. To the west is residential and commercial, zone C1 ZZ Conditional Zoning Commercial District, R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District, CP Planned Commercial District, and C2 Commercial District. Homes were built between 1911 and 1916, and commercial uses built between 1954 and 1979. Black Hawk Creek does run through the property, which is in the 100-year floodplain and floodway. However, both sides of the property are protected by levees, so would not be considered in the floodway. The future land use map designates this area as industrial, parks, open space, schools, government facilities, public areas. A comprehensive plan is designed to guide, not for a blueprint, for overall development and planning for the community, and the plan is in the process of being updated. The City of Waterloo is requesting to rezone approximately 17.5 acres from A1 Agricultural District and M1 Light Industrial District to CP Planned Commercial District and BP Business Park District for future development. The land on the east side of Black Hawk Creek was formerly the site of Weissman Steel, but has recently been used as log storage by the City of Waterloo Leisure Services. There is currently no active projects planned in the area, but rezoning the area as planned districts would require any proposals to go through a site plan amendment process and come through the commission and back to the city council. The land west of Black Hawk Creek is proposed to be zone CP, and the land east of Black Hawk Creek zone BP. CP zoning allows for residential uses in addition to commercial. While BP zoning does not allow residential, but does allow light industrial uses. So that's why we decided to propose zoning the way it was. The east side of the rezone area has been filled in from dirt created by the section of University Avenue that formerly crossed the tracks of the former Chicago Great Western Railroad, but was abandoned and is now a recreational trail, meaning the high approaches were no longer needed. The bridge was rebuilt or replaced by a culvert, box culvert, and the height of the road lowered over 15 feet, with the material being placed on the north side of the road on the former Weissman site. Therefore, staff recommends that the request to rezone approximately 17.5 acres from A1 Agricultural District and M1 Light Industrial District to CP Planned Commercial District and BP Business Park District located at 700 Falls Avenue be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact surrounding the area. Part of the properties in question are classified as industrial for future land use map, and other parts adjacent to several commercial uses, making them good development sites. Any projects would be required to go through a site plan amendment process. Also, I believe there is one couple on the phone that are gonna want to talk about, be opposed to the project. However, I also got 3 phone calls in the last week about the project, and all of them said that they were in support of it, since any project would have to go through a site plan amendment process.
Okay, thank you, John. Are there initial questions for John?
Yeah, this is Holdeman. John, weren't there some environmental issues with the old Weissman Steel site? And if so, were those addressed, or has that been mitigated?
Yeah, there is issues with it, and that's why we wanted it zone BP, so no residential could go there at this time. I'm not sure about remediation of the actual contamination. I don't know if Eric knows anymore.
This is Schrader with staff. I don't know for sure. I can double check with Noel, but I believe we got a no further action required, so that it was considered contained and no longer a threat. So no further action was going to be needed. I don't think we would have proceeded with filling the site, putting clean fill over top of the area if there was potentially more remediation work that would be needed. But I will verify that.
Thank you.
This is Cody. I've got a question about access to the site. Would that site's primary access be the old Falls Avenue Bridge?
This is Schrader with staff. The site's current primary and only access is from Falls Avenue, but as part of the redevelopment, the primary access would be off of University Avenue. That would not have previously been possible due to the significant grade change, with University Avenue being quite higher than the former Weissman site, the former log dump site. But now that the University Avenue along that section has been lowered by around 15 feet and the Weissman site raised, I'm not sure how many feet it ended up raising that site, but not the same amount of 15 feet. But they're now a little closer to each other, which will make direct access off of University Avenue possible. The long-term goal will be the removal of the Falls Avenue Bridge over Black Hawk Creek. I don't know that it will be removed immediately, but it will not be repaired or replaced, since it would no longer be needed as a primary access point.
Is there anyone else from the city that is here to report on this agenda item?
And I see Noel has made it on now. Noel, do you know, one of the questions was on environmental for the former Weissman site. I said I would double check, but assume that we reached a no further action required status.
That is correct. Noel Anderson, Community Plan Development Director. I don't know if we got the official letter back, but it's essentially the same as a no further action. There is, however, a environmental covenant that will be placed on the land as it's officially platted, stating that no residential can be built there.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. Is there anyone else on the call that is here to speak on this agenda item? You can unmute yourself at this time and state your name and address, if so. John, do you know the names of, or the name of the person who might have been here?
I don't off the top of my head. They were calling in, so we got several people on the phone, so I'm not sure.
We'll check one more time. Is there anyone else on the phone or by Zoom who wants to speak on this agenda item, either for or in opposition to it?
The phone callers, Virginia, a couple of them are muted. I don't know if that's under our control, if it's another control.
We have 3 people on the phone who we don't have a name associated with. Is anyone who might be on mute wanting to speak on this agenda item? Okay.
John, do you know, was it a adjacent property owner on the west side of Black Hawk Road?
Yes, it was.
John, can you unmute just to double check? Unmute them, the 2.
It doesn't allow me to unmute them. It just allows me to ask them to unmute themselves.
Oh, okay, thank you.
John, do you know generally what their concerns were?
Basically what they said was they've lived there for 37 years. It's always been open fields, and that's where they wanted to stay.
Okay.
Thank you, Agnes.
Okay, well.
Hello? Hello?
There we go.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, hi. I'm sorry about that. I didn't know how to, I hit unmute on my phone, but evidently it wasn't going through. I'm glad she said *6.
Yes, go ahead. Can you give your name and
My
address
name-
for the record?
Hi, my name is Pam Peveril, and I live at 216 Black Hawk Road with my husband. We've lived here for 37 years. We moved here because there was nothing across the street from us, and therefore it was low traffic, and it was a quiet neighborhood. Our kids, our grandkids, and our neighbor kids have all enjoyed playing in the field in the summertime and sledding the hill in the winter. And we enjoy watching the deer and other animals that roam over there or live and forage for food. And by changing the zoning, our neighborhood will be subject to more traffic and more noise and more air pollution. I think it'll take away our natural view that we have enjoyed.
Property value.
Yeah, I don't know how it would affect property value. I don't know. And we are very sad that this is up for debate here. We've enjoyed it across the street. It was always looked so nice over there, and the city kept it up pretty good.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else with you that wanted to speak as well?
Well, my husband is here, and he feels the same way.
Okay.
I know.
I'm just worried about what's going to go in over there. You know, what we're going to be viewing, or what kind of environment we're going to have to put up with.
Yeah, it's been a very nice view. You know, we enjoy watching the deer in the early morning sometimes, and well, because of the traffic, I mean, the work on the University Avenue, we haven't seen a lot of deer over there lately, but normally we see some. And I've spoke with a couple of the neighbors, and they were not happy that this was happening. I thought probably they were going to be calling in as well. Perhaps they can't get unmuted either.
Can you hear everything we're saying?
Yes, we can. Thank you. And
Okay.
sir, we didn't catch your name. What was your name?
My name is Gary Peveril.
Okay. Thank you.
Seth,
Thank
this is-
you. Any questions from the commissioners?
Seth, this is Charles. Could you maybe explain to the private resident homeowners, well, that it's proposed for a CPs to be rezoned to CP, what that means and what that requires as far as plan review, site review, those kinds of things, or maybe John, maybe you can.
Yes, so with a site plan amendment, anything that is proposed to be built there would have to come back through the Planning and Zoning Commission for a recommendation, then to City Council for a decision.
Which would
Once again,
include
they
additional,
will.
I was just gonna say, which would include additional notice to the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to mention. They would get notice about any proposed developments.
I see.
Okay.
I know years ago when they wanted to change the down where the sound room wanted to come in, and they took out some of the old houses down there. It ended up, we got so much more traffic, you know, through the alleyway, and stirred up a lot of the dust, and got our fence just about knocked out one time because of a large vehicle that drove through the alleyway. And it just seemed like the neighborhood wasn't quite the same then, but now that we've got other people in down there, it's a little bit more quiet down there. And that's what we were just concerned about is, you know, we've enjoyed this, you know, and all of our families have enjoyed the park across from us all these years. And it makes us sad to think, you know, that could be changing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm worried about what it might do to our house value too. You know, I'm getting up there where I doubt very much if I'm going to be moving anywhere. But I don't know how it's going to pan out for my wife. If the property, you know, I'm just worried about the property values.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this time? Again, to unmute, if you're on the phone, it's *6. Okay. If the commission wants to close the public hearing, do we have a motion?
Prost, I'll move.
Alderman, I'll move we close the hearing.
Second, Goldberg.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Any other questions for staff?
This is Charles. I had a quick question on when was Weisman torn down? When did that occur? I remember it actually, Craig, now that you mention it. I remember the whole reconstruction of that area and how it came through. When was that it was eliminated? You guys remember?
Wasn't that sometime in the mid-'80s?
This is Noel. Unless someone has a specific date, I would imagine it was in the late 80s, early 90s when they were doing Highway 218.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion by Schoberg to the rezone of, sorry, I'm getting back to it, of 17.5 acres from A1 Agriculture District and M1 Light Industrial District to CP Planned and BP Business Park District located on Falls Avenue be approved for the following reasons. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area. Part of the properties in question are classified as industrial on the future land use map, and the other part is adjacent to several commercial uses, making them a good redevelopment site. Any projects will be required to go through a site plan amendment process in the future.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you for being on the call. And again, if there is a specific plan for that site in the future, there will have to be a site plan amendment. So if you received notice for today, then you should get notice of that site plan amendment when it comes through planning and zoning as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, do we have a date for when the this recommendation would go on to the city council for the rezone?
April 1st, I believe. I mean,
March
1st, yeah.
Great. We will move on to new business, item B1, request by Patrice Kettle for a special permit to allow for a religious facility to be located at 722 Water Street in a C3 Central Business District. Could we first have the staff report, please?
This is Western with staff. The applicant is requesting to legalize an existing religious facility that has been operating out of the building at 722 Water Street. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on the surrounding area, as a religious facility would appear to be a compatible use in a commercial district. The request would not appear to have a negative impact on vehicular or pedestrian traffic in the area. The area is served by Water Street, which is classified as a local street, as well as East 5th Street and East 6th Street, which are classified as minor arterial streets. The site has a parking lot with approximately 45 parking spaces, and there is on-street parking in close proximity. The U.S. Highway 218 trail is located 0.4 miles to the southwest. The downtown River Loop trail is adjacent to the property at 722 Water Street. The Park Avenue bicycle lanes are located 2 blocks to the northwest. There are sidewalks on all streets surrounding the property. The property in question is zoned C3 Central Business District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the ordinance in 1969. To the northeast, there's commercial businesses zoned C3 Central Business District. There's Keystone Automotive. To the southwest, Cedar River and commercial businesses zoned C3 Central Business District. Wells Fargo. Southeast, commercial and residentially zoned C3 District, Central Business District, and R4 RP planned multiple residence district, UniQ, Rivers Trail, and apartments. To the northwest, the commercial businesses zone C3 Central Business District, commercial building and parking ramp. The Water Street site has housed restaurants, professional offices, and schools in the past. Current occupants include churches, offices, office spaces, and residential. The building was built in 1930 with an addition and paving in 1987. There are no drainage plans required for this request. No portion of the property is located within a special floodplain hazard area as indicated by the Federal Insurance Administration's flood insurance rate map. All utilities serve the area. The future land use map designates this area as commercial. The special permit request would be in conformance with the future land use map plan for this area. Staff analysis, the applicant is requesting a special permit to allow for a religious facility in an existing commercial building. The church has apparently been holding church services at the building since 2014. However, the site has never been approved for a special permit to allow the site to be used as a religious facility. The facility currently has approximately 90 to 120 members. It is currently unknown how many square feet of the multi-use building they occupy. There are no minimum parking requirements in the C3 Central Business District. However, as a part of the special permit process, off-street parking can be required as a condition for approval. Parking requirements for a religious facility is one parking space for each 4 persons of maximum occupancy of the sanctuary, auditorium, and main hall. The site in question appears to have an approximate 45 parking lot, 45 stall parking lot, and there is available on-street parking on adjacent streets. There has not been sufficient detail provided to determine the occupancy of the building, which is needed to determine how many parking spaces would normally be required. But given the C3 zoning and availability of on-street parking, as well as a parking ramp in close proximity, parking would appear adequate. Given the nature of the church services, often concentrated on Sundays and evenings, it avoids the peak parking times of other typical downtown businesses. There is indication that a second religious facility also leases space within the building, but staff has not received any additional information on this additional tenant. Approval of this special permit could allow any or multiple religious facilities to operate from the location, or approval could be specific to the space leased by this applicant, which would require any other tenant operating a religious facility to separately apply for a special permit approval. At the February 2nd, 2021 technical review meeting, the building department originally was asking for a architectural review. However, after further discussion, it was discovered that this particular space did have an architectural review completed. However, there is concern that this particular church is not following following that plan. There's been some complaints of second exits being blocked off with furniture and different things like that. Therefore, staff will recommend approval of the request by Patrice E. Kettle for a special permit to allow for a religious facility to be located at 722 Water Street in a C3 Central Business District for the following reasons. The request would appear compatible with surrounding uses. The request would appear to have sufficient parking available due to on-site, on-street, and nearby facilities. It is also primarily operated when other uses are not at peak parking usage. The request would meet goals and strategies of the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan for mixed-use development, economic vitality of the Central Business District, and strengthen the development and vitality of the riverfront and historic properties. With the following properties, that a final site plan and floor plan meets all applicable city codes, regulations, etc., including building codes, fire codes, and architectural review. That's the staff report.
Okay, I see we have Mr. Kettle on the phone, but are there any initial questions for Chris first?
Yes, this is Eric. Was there concerns about a church development prior, in a prior development? I'm remembering. Let me pull this up again. Hold on. Oh, wrong one. Give me a second.
You mean from this year, Eric?
Yeah, it was from a few months ago, though. I remember.
It was on Fifth Street.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was
Different.
not the same thing.
525 West Fifth Street. No, completely different.
Okay, this was something different. Okay. Go on then. Then I withdraw my question.
Okay. Are there other initial questions for Chris? Okay. Mr. Kittle, if you want to unmute, you can unmute now and go ahead and if you have anything to add in terms of supporting your application.
I sent my application. I think I go by myself. The plan of that place because I didn't receive this yet. I just received this yesterday from the landlord. I don't know if we're gonna need that or not.
Yes, we were looking for that. That would have been nice to have in the packet.
Are there other questions from the commission? Chris, this is Virginia. Can you elaborate a little bit on the concerns with compliance of the architectural plan?
Yeah, I was hoping to have one of the inspectors. There's two of them. They do different inspections. Barry Stratton. There is a residential apartment below this church, which the occupants of that apartment are very concerned about the noise that comes from the church. However, I explained to them you are living in a commercial setting, so the noise levels that you would expect in a commercial setting would be different than if you lived in a residentially zoned apartment complex. And secondly, the apartment is not legal, is not registered, is not passing certain guidelines that the building department has set forth as far as rental. It's not registered. There's other things that need to be fixed. The church space we found out later that it did get a architectural review. However, Jeff Siebel from the building department is concerned that there's some days there's so many people, and there's been pictures submitted that there's so many people that they're flowing out of their actual sanctuary space, and that there's furniture and different things blocking their secondary exit, which is a fire code and building code violation. We can definitely get more information on that. That's something we found out after we sent the packet to you, but we can follow up on that. But there are some concerns that Barry and the building department are working on.
Steve, I think Steve has a question.
Yeah, this is Trost. More of a comment and clarification. You know, there's multiple steps of approval and processes within the city. You know, there's zoning, there's building inspection, there's fire department. And I know the code issues are being raised, but my understanding as a commission, our responsibility is to look at the zoning ordinance and look and see, is this an acceptable use? And is it meeting the requirements of that acceptable zoning location? I understand that these code issues are a concern, but my understanding and my view, I guess, as a commissioner is that that's what we have the building inspection department for, and that's what we have the fire department inspection for, is to address those issues so that if there's a code issue, that's one thing. But as far as any use of this type of facility for this use in this zoning is what the question we're trying to answer. Does that sound correct to everyone?
Yeah, this is Western with staff. That's absolutely correct. I guess the main reason for bringing that up is because of the residential tenants called several times to complain, And so we thought we should probably bring that up and make everyone aware, but you're right.
Okay, so that being said, it's probably in the best interest of the tenants to take it up with their landlord, the building owner, to resolve those issues.
That's what he's been instructed to do.
Chris, this is Virginia. For clarification, you said that, or am I correct that the commission can either recommend a site or a special permit just for this applicant, or was it that we can recommend the special permit based on the building use? Is that right? So that any tenant could use this as a religious facility?
Correct.
Okay.
The only difference is that the second religious facility would have to follow suit with the building department and get an architectural review as well. Otherwise, you can approve it based on the actual building and not just one particular tenant.
Chris, this is Holdeman. Did you say that there is a second religious facility in there now?
Yes.
So if we approve it just for this one, the people that are here right in the meeting now, what happens with the other one? Do they have to come make the same application or what?
Yeah, staff has discussed that, and that would, if you only approve this one particular applicant, the other church or religious facility would have to come back and get approved as well.
This is Trost. So that can create some complications on approving it for the whole facility, because then they're going to have to work out the required parking allotments and schedules and all of that, and that's going to have to probably be discussed. So I guess as a commissioner, my thinking is it seems reasonable to approve it for the specific entity tenant versus allotting it for the whole building to avoid conflict.
And this is Western staff. One other thing too, Mr. Kettle's church paid $225 to be approved. If you approve the entire building, you know.
Mr. Kettle, do you have a comment on the other tenant that we're referencing here, regarding not the residential tenant, but the other tenant using the building for religious purposes?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, did you have a comment on what we were discussing in terms of the other tenant using the building for religious facility purposes?
As I know, they use low level and we are on a second level.
Okay,
That,
so go ahead.
excuse me. I want to ask them to stop a little bit with the noise for me to be able to hear you.
I didn't catch that. I'm sorry.
It sounded like he was trying to address his technical issues, what it sounded like.
Okay.
Yeah, someone was talking to the microphone over there. I was not able to do. Yeah,
okay.
I was saying that they are using the low level. The first level, we are on the second level.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the other one's in the basement.
Yes.
Yeah, the basement. They're in the basement. Yeah.
Is there anyone else on the call who is here to speak on this agenda item? If so, go ahead and unmute yourself. If you're on a call, it's *6 to unmute yourself. Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Would someone like to make a motion?
This is Trost. I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the request by Patrice E. Kettle for a special permit to allow for a religious facility to be located at 722 Water Street in the C3 Central Business District for the following reasons. The request would appear compatible with surrounding uses. The request would appear to have sufficient parking available due to on-site, on-street, and nearby facilities. It is also primarily operated when other uses are not at peak parking usage. The request would meet goals and strategies of the City of Waterloo Comprehensive Plan for mixed-use development, economic vitality of the Central Business District, and strengthen development and vitality of riverfront and historic properties, with the following conditions: that the site plan and floor plan meets all applicable city codes, regulations, etc., including building codes and fire codes, and an architectural review.
Steve, do you want to clarify? I think maybe you want your motion to just be for this space. I would have that clear.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to get back to the name of that as I was going to do that. I'd like to amend it to include that this is specific to the religious organization Livingstone Church is operated by Patrice Kettle.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion carried. Chris, do you have any follow-up for Mr. Kettle in terms of next step or any?
Let's see. So it'll go to Board of Adjustment. Let's see. I think we're gonna have to send them on March.
It should be February 23rd.
February 23rd, sorry. So they'll be on the agenda February 23rd.
Okay. All right, thank you.
For final decision by the Board of Adjustment.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is a request by Nayad Masick for an encroachment agreement to allow for the parking of automobiles for sale located north and west of 312 Cross Avenue in the M1 Light Industrial District. Can we have the staff report first, please?
Yeah, this is Heiberger with the staff report. The applicant is Niyad Masick at 1302 Hammond Avenue, Waterloo. The applicant is requesting approval of an encroachment agreement to allow for the placement of vehicles on the city right-of-way. The request could have a negative impact upon the surrounding area, as approval of the encroachment agreement could set precedents for other properties in the area to request to have similar encroachments on the city right-of-way, and could obstruct the turnaround of vehicles on a dead-end street, particularly larger vehicles such as emergency vehicles, which include ambulances and fire truck, garbage trucks, or other delivery routes, as well as interference with snow removal on the street. The request would not appear to have a negative impact upon pedestrian conditions in the area. There are no sidewalks along Cothee Avenue, and it is a dead-end street. The request could have a negative impact on traffic conditions by impacting vehicle turnaround on a dead-end street. Nearest trail is Donald's Trail, which is located 3,500 feet to the north. The area in question is zoned M1 Light Industrial District and has been zoned as such since the adoption of the ordinance number 2479 in 1969. Surrounding land uses and their zoning as follows. To the north is Broadway Street in industrial development zone M1 Light Industrial District. To the south is residential development zone R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District and M1 Light Industrial District. To the east, commercial and industrial development zone R2 1 and 2 Family Residence District and M1 Light Industrial District. And to the west, commercial, industrial, and residential development zone M1 Light Industrial District. The adjacent surrounding residential properties were primarily developed in between 1910 and 1930s. The commercial development in the area occurred between the 1940s and the 2000s. No buffers or additional screening is required with this request. The request will not have a negative impact on drainage in the area. No portion of the lot in question is located within a special flood hazard area according to FEMA. There's an 8-inch sewer main underneath Cothee Avenue and 6-inch water main on the west side of Cothee Avenue. The future land use map designates this area as industrial. In the past, encroachment agreements that the city has entered into have included provisions that allow the city to give notice of termination of agreement if the right-of-way is needed for any future public purposes, and requiring that the city have no liability for any damage that may occur. Such areas are usually areas that cannot be relocated. The Capital League is requesting to allow for vehicle parking in the city-owned right-of-way along Cothee Avenue. The length of the encroachment area is approximately 170 feet with a triangular section that contains approximately 5,700 square feet. The property owner to the west has indicated their opposition to the request, noting that the applicant has already been parking vehicles on the city right-of-way and has made snow removal in the area very difficult. The applicant does not have a principal permitted use building in compliance with the city zoning ordinance. The structure is only partially finished and is not in compliance with the building code either, and has never passed final inspection from building inspection for repairs made to the structure. The site in questions at 312 Cothee Avenue has a lot of concerns. The building is only halfway renovated with improper siding, not yet finished on the exterior. The owner has been to court but has not rectified problems. Number two, the owner has 3 separate parcels he owns. One parcel is main building side and his grandfather gravel parking. It was all in place in 1964. The other parcels have been cleared for redevelopment, but improperly used for vehicle display storage, and the parking of vehicles as proper hard surfacing has not been put in place. Would appear more appropriate for the applicant to bring the site and building into compliance, building code, zoning ordinance, and stormwater ordinance, and look at disposal parcels, vacating of the alley near the southern parcel before allowing any additional encroachments. Staff would like to see the applicant operate the business in compliance prior to allowing any expansion on public property. There's no platting for this request. Therefore, staff recommends the request for an encroachment agreement by Nihad Masik to allow for the placement of vehicles on approximately 57 square feet of city right-of-way located at 312 Cothee Avenue north of Bree Street be denied for the following reasons. The request would appear to have a negative impact on the city right-of-way. The request could have a negative impact on traffic conditions by impacting vehicle turnaround on the dead-end street, including emergency vehicles. The request would make snow removal difficult at a dead-end street, and the applicant has been in violation of numerous city code ordinance, and the staff would like to see adherence to said regulations prior to any extensions or encroachment of the business use area. That's the staff report.
Okay, any initial questions for Seth? Okay, is anyone on the phone for?
Yes.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record.
I am Jacob Lehman. I own the property at 323 Cothee Street. I am also representing my father, which owns the property at 313 Cothee and 317 Cothee.
Okay, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, he's been there the entire time he's been there. He's parking cars on our property. He has pushed the snow across the street onto our property multiple times. The cars are already parked in the right of way now. If I were to want to drive a pickup or a trailer even into my building at the end of the block without crossing my dad's property, I don't think I could even make the corner to get into my building due to the fact that he has everything sticking out in the road on his side. And I'm sure that all if you do is you give him another 15 feet, he's just going to take another 30 feet. He's going to figure he has 15. He might as well keep going and going and going until nobody else can use it. I'm currently leasing my building at 323 Cothee Street, and as of right now, the guy that's in there is not real happy and not apt to continue to lease it, because 9 times out of 10, when he comes to go to his building, there are cars blocking it, and he has to cross my father's property in order to even get into his property.
Thank you. Seth, is their address then, if we're looking at page 48, is it the property, is their property off to the west there?
Let's see if you go on like Cothee Avenue, the applicant's property is on the east side, and then to the north and to the west is other adjacent property owners, including the business addresses of the gentleman that was just on the phone.
Thank you. Anyone have questions, follow-up questions on that? Okay. Is the applicant on the phone or someone on behalf of the applicant? I believe we have a visual of Harris Masick. Would you like to, are you here for the applicant?
Yes.
Thank you. Would you like to address the commission?
So actually, this is Jessica Young from 318 West 3rd Street. I'm here with Harris. But as I'm not sure if some of you might have met them, but they're young, just starting out in business. And so this isn't really something that they're, these meetings and these kinds of things aren't their forte, I guess. So he just asked me to speak a little bit. So last year, they were told by city employees that that piece of property was a DOT right-of-way. And so they contacted the DOT, and somebody named Chris Lehman from Iowa DOT came out and gave permission to use that piece of land. So they graded it and gravelled it and placed cars on it. And then that's when they found that it was city property. So they're wanting to get this resolved. Some of these issues, it doesn't seem that, I'm not sure. Harris is saying that they aren't blocking people's right of way and going out into the street with their vehicles.
No.
So that seems like that might be something that could be, yeah, it might be an exaggeration. They don't see this as being a negative impact. Also, that issue that you brought up about the snow removal and somebody being concerned with how they can remove the snow, actually what was happening previously was snow was being piled on that piece of land, and then in the spring flooding this property, which, obviously makes for a major mess and is unfortunate. So I don't think that maybe snow removal is the right use of that piece of property. This would also help with spreading out the vehicles that are already there and make it more aesthetically pleasing. Is there anything else? There's no sidewalk, so it wouldn't, that wouldn't be, like you said, the pedestrian aspect. What else? Did you have any other questions? Does anybody have any questions for? Oh, they are working towards addressing those issues of the building construction. It's taken a little bit longer because there have been some contractor issues, but that is being addressed.
This is Trost, Commissioner Trost. How long has it been that these issues were raised by the city to the owner?
What's he saying?
He's asking the city.
Seth, do you know?
I don't know. I guess there's been ongoing issues with the site with code enforcement. And in fact, how long, I'm not quite sure how many years it's been.
This is
I
what
know in the spring code.
Maria
I know
Downey
in the
was
spring
online.
I know in the spring the code enforcement towed several cars off the property due to non-compliance. So it's been going on for over a year.
Seth, do you have any follow-up on the DOT?
I mean, well, in order to, essentially vacate the property, they're going to have to, get a legal description for an area, an appraisal. In addition, the vacate would have to go before Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for final approval. In order to, officially vacate that area, there's a lot of steps that they'll have to go through in order to, be able to use that land.
This is Schrader with staff. I'm not too sure what they're talking about regarding recent DOT involvement. I would guess that it was specific to the licensing to get to sell vehicles. To sell vehicles, you need a license from the DOT. That's completely separate from a right-of-way issue. The right-of-way in question north of the building was originally part of the right-of-way that goes with Broadway, which was Highway 20. So it was a state highway. There are some complications. It's no longer a state highway. It's now a city road and city-owned right-of-way. But there are some additional complications to vacating what was a former highway. You have to follow the provisions of State Code Section 306.23, which isn't going to involve appraisal, offering the land for appraised value back to the original property owner and adjacent property owners. So it was based on those issues that we recommended that for now. They just asked for an encroachment agreement. But as noted by staff, there's concerns that with other non-compliance issues that we would like to see them get into compliance before we would be willing to recommend approval on an encroachment or a vacate to expand the footprint of the use.
Again, this is Commissioner Trost. I understand there's building code issues, but the report staff analysis says the applicant does not have a principal permitted use building in compliance with city zoning ordinance. Could you maybe explain that a little bit further for me?
Ms. Schrader, I'm not familiar with that one. Seth, are you aware of what that one was referring to? What page of the staff report is that on?
It's page 2 of 3 on the lower half. It's the 4th paragraph of staff analysis zoning ordinance. It says the applicant does not have a principal permitted use building in compliance with the city zoning ordinance.
Ms. Schrader with staff, I'd have to look into that. But I know that the original building was just a cold storage garage, a building addition, a permit for a building addition was obtained to add the addition to the east end of that. And yeah, I know I am aware that there are some building code issues with that yet. I'm not real familiar with what all the code issues are.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had contact with Greg Alheim. He just indicated that with the addition and other things that's been done to the building is that nothing's passed final inspection yet. So it's not completely in compliance with the building code or the zoning ordinance either.
This is Jamie Knutson, city engineer. To go back to one of the previous comments, how long has this been going on? Engineering has been dealing with this since 2016, trying to bring these folks into compliance for the stormwater portion. They have yet to complete the items that they had shown on their stormwater plan from 2016. Again, There have been numerous issues out there with drainage and other things that we've been called on to look at. 5 years is, in my opinion, long enough to get something fixed, and that still hasn't to this point. So again, I would echo planning's comments that until these issues are addressed, that this does not move forward.
Are we ready for a motion?
Let me just double check. Is there anyone else on the phone that wants to speak for or in opposition to this agenda item?
I was going to provide a motion, but I didn't have any other comments.
Okay, I think go ahead if you'd like to make a motion.
So I would like to make a motion. This is Eric. I would like to make a motion that we recommend denial of this request based on what is outlined in the staff report and the comments thereof. And so that is my motion, to recommend denial of this item.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? State aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion.
And for clarification, Virginia, that was us recommending denial of the motion?
Right.
Yes, so if you're, yes. Yep, so if you're in support of the motion, that is for denial of the agreement, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the motion is carried.
This is Schrader with staff. We'll get with the applicant to see if they want to continue the request on to the city council. No timeline will be set yet, because if it is going to go on, a formal encroachment agreement will have to be drafted.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Okay, next item on the agenda is a request by Kasim Musdanovich to name a private street, Aiden Way, located south of 4245 West 4th Street in the R1 1 and 2 family residence district. Could we please have the staff report?
Just starting off with staff, I'll make this quick. A few months ago, Musdanovich was recommended for approval and was approved by City Council. And basically, as part of the plat includes a private street that will serve the 3 duplexes that they're going to build on the site. And so they requested a private street, which will be named Aiden Way. Engineering has approved the name of the street and recommends approval. We recommend it. Therefore, staff recommends the street naming be approved for the following reasons. The engineering department has reviewed the request and does not have any conflicts with it.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone on the call to speak, or is the applicant on the call, or is anyone else on the call to speak for or against this item? Okay. We have a motion.
This is Trost, Commissioner Trost.
I'll make the motion, Surfling, that the street naming for Aiden Way be approved because the engineering department has reviewed this request and concurs with the naming of the private Aiden Way, as it does not conflict with any other street names, and recommends approval.
Second.
Second.
All right, Aldo, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next, we will have the request by the City of Waterloo for adoption of the University Avenue Area Urban Renewal and Redevelopment Plan in TIF District.
This is Schrader with staff. The City of Waterloo is proposing the adoption of a new urban renewal and redevelopment plan and TIF district along the University Avenue corridor. The purpose of the plan and TIP district is to capitalize on the redevelopment of University Avenue, the road reconstruction project that is underway, and spur and assist in the redevelopment of the area. We've included in your packet a map showing the area that extends along University Avenue from the westerly city limits at Midway. The east end of it is all the way over by Highway 63 with a few extensions along Amesboro Avenue, north up to 218 and south down to just south of Black Hawk Road, Huntington Road area. Pretty straightforward. Any questions for staff?
If not, would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the plan in TIF district?
This is Schoberg. I'll make a motion to adopt the plan in the TIF district for University Avenue.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Real quick, in terms of other discussion items, our next regular meeting will be March 9th, but we will have the special meeting, I'm assuming again, on March 2nd to continue our discussion on the comprehensive plan and future use map. If you weren't able to come to our February 2nd meeting on that, John has sent out a link to the comprehensive plan where you can click on that. And if you go to pages, I think it's either 68 or 69, your homework for our March 2nd meeting is to look at the purposes, intents, goals, and policies and kind of just look over those and kind of think about, in reflection on the maps, what might be some key goals that you have in mind. Anyone else want to add anything to that I'm forgetting?
And it was also that we were supposed to look through the material given to us by the task force members, along with what you said about the maps.
Yep. So I think John sent the link out on January 19th. So if anyone didn't get that or needs me to resend it to them, just let me know. Or if you have questions on the assignment, let us know. Otherwise, if you can make it on the 2nd, we'd love to have you. Or if you have other input but can't make it on the 2nd, just email one of us. Or any other discussion items then? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.